Maomao tastes poison and she smiles. It's one of the most beloved scenes in the whole show. Nobody stops to ask why a girl who keeps her scars bandaged looks at being poisoned like it's a gift. So in this video, I want to get into why her favorite hobby is also her biggest danger, starting with why pain that's signed off as research is exactly what Maomao does, why she says the quiet part out loud once completely calmly, and why by the end of season 2 the show catches us believing that exact same lie she does. Maomao is the palace's poison taster. She loves the job in a way that isn't quite healthy. In episode 6, at the garden party, she tastes poison in the soup and, for a few seconds, completely loses control in a full body wave of pleasure. For years before that, she has been testing poisons and snake venom on her own body. Her left arm takes the worst of it, which is why it's permanently bandaged. The result is near total immunity to most poisons in this world, a condition called mithridatism. On paper, that reads like a superpower, like she has been training a muscle, except the muscle is her own tolerance for dying. Here is the question one episode leaves us with. Is this really just professional pride, or is this pain that's signed off as research, and nobody around her, including us, ever stops to call it anything else? For example, like some people, self-harm. One scene at a party makes us wonder, but is that really the exception, or is that just the one time this pain slips out into the open, instead of staying signed off as research the way it does every other day? There's an actual term for this. It's a way people cope with painful things, burying the feeling under logic and analysis until the feeling barely shows up at all. Psychologists call it intellectualization. For Maomao, that looks like this. Poison becomes an experiment. A scar just becomes evidence she can point to instead of explaining how she feels. And that logic never shows up clearer than in episode 9. Maomao's investigating 2 deaths written off as self-inflicted that don't add up. A soldier whose death gets blamed on drinking too much, and a servant girl found drowned in the palace moat. Ruled a suicide despite the evidence. Afterward, she turns to Jinchi, the court official who first noticed her talent and has looked out for her ever since, and says the quiet part out loud. She calmly asks him if he would let her die by poison, if it ever came to that. He's completely thrown. It sounds like cold planning, thinking ahead. Listening to it again though, she's naming her own price. She thinks she's exactly as replaceable as that drowned servant girl. Someone whose death barely got looked into because nobody with power cared enough to ask questions. She's putting a price on her own life and calling it logic. Both times it's wrapped in the same calm logic, but what happens the one time that logic falls apart on its own without her permission? Season 2 finale, Maomao's back at the Verdigris house, the brothel where she grew up. She's working again as its apothecary, mixing medicine when out of nowhere she ties a cord around her pinky finger. She's getting ready to cut it off. For research, she says, obviously. The anime shoots it exactly like that sounds. Calm, matter of fact, just another experiment in a long line of them. Jinchi shows up just in time to stop her, and this is where it actually clicks. The anime never tells you why now specifically, but the light novel does. It shows what she's actually thinking in that moment, that she has just come back from the front lines, that she believes Jinchi doesn't need her anymore, that as a low-born girl, she has no place beside him. The anime dresses this scene up as one more cute science moment, right as she's actually falling apart underneath it. And by letting us read it as research instead of pain, the show catches us believing the exact same lie she does. That's what makes this trait dangerous for her, and for us watching too. I'm sure most of us laughed exactly the way the show trained us to laugh. So next time you see Maomao smiling over a plate of poison, maybe watch that scene again. And hey, one more thing before you go. Do you think she actually knows what she's doing, or does she believe it as much as we do? And did this video change how you see her? Let me know. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.